Hi, Cici.
Oh, hey there.
Hi. Actually, and then all of a sudden it's like, wait, what did I say before? All right. Hi, Cici.
Hey there.
Hi. You look beautiful today.
Oh, thank you very much.
Yeah, great. And we're here today because I wanted to ask you a few questions about being a trans woman, and hopefully you'll be able to enlighten your audience and give some fantastic advice today.
I'll try. I'll try my very best.
Great. So, first question. What would you say are the advantages of dating a trans woman?
I don't really think of it that way. I don't think there are advantages to dating a trans woman, but I think to someone who is attracted to a trans woman, there's no other way. You're not going to date a born female if you're attracted to a trans woman. So I think if we are talking advantages, I think the only thing you're getting out of it is dating the right person for you.
Okay.
But to people who are not attracted to trans women, there's really no advantage, because if you're not attracted, you're not attracted. That's how I see it.
Okay. So, well, that's certainly a great observation. Because when I look at you, what I see is I see a beautiful woman. So I think one of the things that I think a lot of men are going to look at is they're going to look at you, and the first thing they're going to see is a beautiful woman. So essentially, the messaging that I think you're going to convey to anybody is that, you should be attracted to somebody based on, not necessarily, just how they look, but also who they are.
Yeah, for who they are, their personality. I think there's just really a lot to be said if we're going to talk about attraction, because you have to be attracted to the entire person, to the whole person, not just parts of her or him.
Sure. Okay.
Him or her. Or they, for some people, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Sure, absolutely. So pronouns are important nowadays.
We just want to be respectful to people.
Okay, great. All right. And what would you say are the benefits of just trans versus just a regular cis woman? So why date a trans woman when you can date straight?
I think just like what I've said, if you're attracted to a trans woman, there's just really no other way. Like, why you would never be happy with a born female if you're really attracted to a trans woman to begin with. Same thing as if you're attracted to only born females, then why would you ever go for a trans woman? So there's no comparison there. There's just really preference.
Sure. So you think maybe good advice for maybe a man who is interested in a trans woman is to sort of say, hey, look at the person first. Don't question their sexuality, and ask yourself, maybe do you feel you're compatible with this individual?
I mean, at the end of the day, it just boils down to how they feel. Like, if they are open to exploring, then I'd say why not. But if not, and they really feel like it's not for them, I mean, at the end of the day, it's their choice. We always want to give people the freedom to choose.
Okay, great. So what do you think then is the excitement, of dating, a trans woman for a straight guy?
For a straight guy, that I can't really tell, because I think for a lot of men it is some sort of a fantasy or a fetish, but there are also quite a few men who even in their early maybe teen years have known that there's this certain attraction that they have towards trans women, and that they sort of feel like when they were younger it could be a fantasy, but when they sort of matured, they realize that the attraction is a little deeper than that, and they just like the entire idea and the person, and being with that person, that trans woman, or with a trans woman.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah.
That makes perfect sense. Yeah.
Also, I think there are men who are attracted to both femininity, but at the same time, they want that genitalia that they have. You know, so I think that could be part of the excitement.
Yeah.
But at the same time, they feel like trans women maybe can understand them better because trans women, especially post-op, pre-op, trans women have what they have, and so when it comes to like the topic of pleasure, they somehow would know what gives men pleasure.
Okay, sure. So that actually sort of brings me to my next question. So I actually have a friend, who has had gender reassignment surgery. She told me every trans wants to have reassignment surgery. That is this, in the case here, we have somebody who was male who wanted to have the gender reassignment surgery so that essentially she could say that she's had the complete reassignment surgery. Do you agree with that assessment?
Well, I don't think I can agree fully to that statement or that idea. But what I will say, though, is that, trans women transition, and the idea is to be a woman, and women have, a woman's genitalia. But to say that all transgender would want to go through, we would probably at some point want to have that female genitalia, but being born with it is a different thing from undergoing a surgery to have it. And so what might be true, or maybe a better way of saying it, is most or all trans women would want to be born with it. But it's not necessarily that all trans women would want to go through that surgery, that lower surgery, because not necessarily, because we should remember that it comes with risks, and it's a man-made genitalia. So it comes with all the ups and downs of having a procedure done. And so I don't think all trans women would really want to risk that, and I don't think all trans women would actually want to have that.
Sure, yeah. And I understand that when you do make that actual transition, you have to deal with some things that a natural woman wouldn't deal with, such as applying lubricant, and also making sure too that you keep that area stretched out, and that those types of things as well. So certainly there, I guess you could say, there's maintenance that's involved.
There is, and it's very tasky, and there's like I said, a risk involved, and there's always the risk of infection. Maybe the risk of infection is higher, and of course the pain. I can't say for sure what kind of pain every trans woman experience when they're undergoing such a delicate procedure.
Okay, so bottom line, it doesn't lessen a trans woman's femininity if they have a vagina or they have their original penis.
I don't think so. Well, that's just me, but I can't speak for other trans women, and I won't be able to control what other people think or their take on this matter. But to me, it just doesn't matter as much as how you feel about yourself. Like if you feel like a woman, you present yourself as a woman, then I think that's what matters most.
Okay, very good. All right, now, do you have a recommendation for a straight male or female who thinks they might want to be a trans? And maybe you can also discuss, when you knew, how long the transition lasted, and the benefits when the transition was complete for you.
Oh, okay. That's very good. what I can say is for them to do it in their own terms, their own timing, their own pacing, and when they feel ultimately that they're ready and comfortable. Because at the end of the day, it's their decision, it's their body, it's their life, and no one should be telling them when they should be coming out or starting with their transition. And always be careful and to consider safety first. And because I remember I didn't really know when I was younger. I actually had my transition or started when I was already 24, so I was basically an adult. I didn't pay attention to it so much because, I was very happy with my family life. I had my family, my siblings, my parents. I had, a good childhood. I had my friends, and then I started working. And, at that time I was working at the fashion design school in the Philippines. And one of the designers approached me and he said, Cici, are you on hormones? And I said, no. Why? And then he said, but you look like a girl. I said, I know. I've always looked like this, and it's just genetics, And then he said, have you ever tried being a girl or living your life as a woman? I said, it never crossed my mind, honestly. And he also asked me, because it was very casual, because I was managing the school. He was one of those designer instructors there. And then he said, do you have a boyfriend? I said, no, I've never had a boyfriend. And I was 24. And he said, you've never had a boyfriend at 24? I said, no, never. I just, like I said, I was busy on other things, family, friends, and now my career. And he said, well, you know what, maybe you should try being a girl. Just try it out, wouldn't hurt. And when you find that you're actually much more relaxed and you feel good about yourself being a girl, and other people will start to notice that energy, and they will get attracted to you. And another thing is that people are so confused as to what you are because you're so androgynous. Your features are very confusing. You look very feminine, but people don't know if you're a tomboy or an effeminate boy. But if you start your transition, people will know. If you present yourself as a woman, they will see you as a woman, and then it's going to be easy for them to know if they're attracted to you or not. And I said, I don't know. I just don't know. I'm going to think about it. Mm-hmm. So it happened gradually. In my own terms, little by little, I blurred my dressing style into something more shapeless and genderless. So I was androgynous for quite some time until I felt ready to wear ladies' wear, and my hair grew longer. I think it was up to here. And at that point, nobody knew because, like I said, I've always looked very feminine. And so if I wore ladies' wear and with long hair, I would easily just look like a regular woman. And so this is what happened. And as far as taking hormones is concerned, I didn't really need hormones, like I said. But if you are a person who would need it, like I said, safety first, consult your doctor. And see what the doctor would recommend, maybe some tests, hormone level tests, I don't know, maybe kidney, liver function test, and always follow the doctor's orders and do it gradually and see how it goes and enjoy it. Yeah. Every step of the way.
Excellent. Great. Well, and as I said, you look like, a beautiful woman. Okay. And I think, that's obviously a great thing. And hopefully it's the way that you want to look. And I assume you probably, when you first transitioned, also look like a beautiful woman. So the big question is how do people treat you differently as a woman compared to being a man?
That's a good question. I didn't really know what to expect at first, but it was just very evident when I, transitioned and grew my hair and wore ladies' wear, and people saw me as a woman, because from being invisible, suddenly I was out there and being seen, and I felt it. It was not something that I had to contemplate on. It was just very palpable, and one example would be in a full bus in the Philippines. I don't think men offer seats to women anymore. Sometimes not even the elderly, which is quite sad, frankly, because I would. But it was, I think, twice that I got on a full bus, and I got offered a seat, and in my head I was just thinking, this is privilege. And it's something that I would never have experienced being a boy or being a man. And suddenly it was all that. And I felt a little bit as though I was getting preferential treatment somehow. Because in my last office in the Philippines before flying to Thailand, I felt as though I was hired because of the way that I looked. Instead of the answers that I gave during the interview, and my qualifications. And at some point, my lady managers even said to me, when I was asking them for a small favor, because I remember I was feverish one night, and I was working the night shift at the call center. And I said to them, boss, can I end my shift and go home, because I feel sick, feel feverish. I really don't think that I can finish the shift. And for maybe 2 to 3 seconds, they didn't say anything. They were just looking at me, and then because I'm tall, and they were shorter women. They were looking up to me for like 2 to 3 seconds, and then one of them said, when you're talking, we just want to look. And I said that in my head. I thought it was so weird. But then when my brother, who was working in the same department, got home in the morning, he said the same thing. He said, our bosses said the same thing, that when you're talking to them, they just want to stare. And I said, I do find it weird, but I think that I have an idea of what it is. It's maybe it's privilege, because I get favors, when I ask for them, and so. Yeah, but then people would also think it's just because I'm a favorite. But the thing is, I was one of the top performers in our department, and so was my brother. So we were really, really good. But it takes away from my performance sometimes. So it's part privilege, but sometimes they also think that people are being unfair and treating me favorably over others.
Do you feel as if you get treated favorably more so by men?
Yes, I do think so, because of course, men will be attracted to women and beauty. I get favors from women as well, but not as much as I get from men.
How about with women though? Maybe because you are so beautiful, maybe there's some envy. Do you think they're envious or jealous of the fact that you are as beautiful as you are? And of course you're very tall. These are certainly attributes that a lot of women would like to have.
I can't say no, because I do think that it's normal anyway. I do experience that, but at the same time, I'm not mad, because it's normal. It's human nature, especially if you grew up always having it in your head that you're not as pretty as other women, you're gonna have that insecurity, and your insecurity you would project on other people. So it's very understandable. So it's a yes. And it's some other women it's more evident, and on some they carry it better. But I would say I really get along better with obviously pretty women. You know, like the obviously pretty who didn't have to try so hard because they were born with it, and they didn't have to suffer. So they don't have the same deep-seated insecurities as women who are not pretty physically. Or those who are pretty now, but they struggled to achieve it. It's also another thing. I think women who are pretty only now would still have it, because I have also experienced some not so nice things from those who have tried so hard to be pretty, but they weren't really originally born with it, because they carry the same mindset still. There is a baggage there. So
sure, absolutely. So, and I think, once again, even though, you look very feminine, the fact of the matter is that, these are men who, want to become women, and are identifying as trans, but they also have male muscle tissue, they have probably hair that, has issues, possibly premature balding and that kind of thing, and these are all things, I guess, that you have to struggle with, and, and so...
it's pretty understandable. That's actually one of the reasons why I started this channel to begin with, because even though I didn't experience a lot of the things that other trans women are experiencing or have experienced so far, I am aware of what those are, and somehow I want to find a way to help them. Maybe not when it comes to things that I don't understand, like surgeries and hormones, because like I said, I don't take hormones, but in the other things that I know better, like how to polish your character, how to dress better, how to carry yourself in such a manner that would elevate you, and hopefully they would be receptive of what I am trying to impart.
Okay, all right, fantastic. Let's move on to another question here, a little bit different here. Is a straight person who doesn't want to date a transphobic? Oh,
that is big. I don't think so. It's just preference. Like, to me, I don't think that's transphobia. That is plainly just preference. Like, if you're not into trans, you're not into trans. As long as you are respecting trans people or trans women's boundaries, preferences, and you are respecting them as people, then I don't think there's an issue there. If you are not into dating trans women, that's all well and good.
Okay, all right, great. What would you tell parents who have a child who identifies as trans?
Well, I'm not a parent, so I don't really think I'm in a position to tell them what to do. But maybe as a trans woman, I can tell them what matters to us and what may matter most to their trans child is a strong support system, an understanding of what the child is going through, and be ready to just provide that loving support from a parent, and know that whatever she chooses, she is still that child that you brought out into the world, and you can only hope that she will blossom into a beautiful person with proper guidance.
Absolutely. I think that's great advice, and one of the reasons why I do bring that up is because there's a lot of people out there who don't think that way, who aren't open-minded to that, especially, for instance, in the United States, a lot of the more sort of conservative views think the opposite. They think that if somebody was born a male or born a female, that's what they should be. That's what God intended them to be, type of thing. And so I think sometimes it's difficult for parents, especially if they maybe are more conservative or they come from a more pious, that is religious environment.
Right.
It's like, hey, this is how my kids should be. I can't allow this, type of thing. So that certainly is good advice. So, okay. Another question here is, what would you tell a very feminine trans woman who doesn't reveal her sexual identity with men?
It really all depends on the situation. At the end of the day, it's her prerogative when to come out or whether to ever come out. However, if you're dating, that's a different scenario. I think honesty is important in a relationship, and it would, I think that it would and it should override you coming out or not wanting to come out, because you have to be yourself when you're dating. And if you wouldn't drop to your date that you're trans, then he is dating a different person. He is dating this idea of you being a born female and all the idea that comes with it, bearing a child, and all the other stuff when you cannot. So I think honesty would play a big role when you're dating. But otherwise, if you're just living your life, if you're not dating, if there are no other people concerned, it's your choice.
Okay. So if you actually are going to be in a relationship with somebody, then maybe there should be maybe a time frame where you would disclose that, because obviously, the person that you're seeing, they may have the beliefs that you just mentioned. That is they may want to have or date or maybe marry a woman where they can have the possibility of children and a family and that kind of thing, which isn't inconceivable if you think about it, because certainly you can adopt, but
having a child of your own is also still different for some people, right?
Sure, absolutely.
As far as time frame is concerned, as for me, I really would prefer to reveal it early on as opposed to later, because I want to give the person the chance to a more informed decision. But if it's a random place, like if I were hanging out and someone approaches me, I wouldn't probably say, because I don't want to. That person is a stranger. I don't owe a stranger anything. So I'm not going to reveal it there. And at the same time, I don't want to cause a scene, because some people or some men can be a little bit aggressive when they find out. So I wouldn't reveal in public. But if it's on a dating site, of course, which I am now on a dating platform. So I will just write it on there, easy, so they can decide for themselves. And when we start communicating, then I would know for sure that that person is looking for a transgender woman.
Okay, great. So, and then in addition to that, also you can eliminate, those individuals who don't want to date a trans woman.
Yes, that is true. That is true, and it saves us both the hassle. Okay,
great. All right. Do you have any regrets about your transition?
I can't really think of any. Well, maybe one, because I recently had my Adam's apple shaving, so my Adam's apple is not very visible. What I guess failed to ask the surgeon before I went through it was if it was going to affect my singing voice. Well, because we discussed about the speaking voice, which I was assured that it was going to be there, it was not going to be affected, so I still have the same voice as before. However, what I failed to realize is that maybe the surgeon forgot that some people can sing, and I can sing, but after the surgery, my falsetto went away, and I can't access it anymore. I'm not a singer, I'm not a pro, but I'm Filipino, and so most Filipinos can sing, and I'm one of those who can carry a tune. But now it's not as good as before, so maybe one. But thank goodness I'm not a professional singer. Otherwise, I would never have considered that surgery. But I'm happy with my Adam's apple not being visible anymore. So.
Okay, great. So maybe that's actually good advice for other trans women whenever they're going through the process. Each step of the way, make sure that you're asking all the questions that you need to.
Yes, don't rush into things, and prepare your questions and the things that you would want to consider before having them done. Make sure that you have all of your questions answered, and if you're not satisfied with the answer, no matter how much you would want to go through that surgery, maybe consider a second opinion or a different doctor, and go for a consultation again.
Okay. Is there anything you would change about yourself?
A lot of things. I like change, I like upgrading. I like polishing myself. I like learning and changing myself all the time, but I can't say for sure what I want as of the moment. With my transition, I think I've always been quite okay with my transition. But as you have witnessed all throughout the years on my YouTube channel, I've changed the way that I look. Constantly changing my hair. Sometimes I'm pale, sometimes I'm tanned, and sometimes I would have long hair, short hair, different makeup styles, different dressing style, and with my personality in general, I would want to be more in touch with myself, so I would really want to meditate more. I want to be calmer, and I want to start listening to people more, understand people more, and just understand where they're coming from, and hopefully maybe learn a thing or two, and see what things from other people I may be able to apply it to myself as well. It's not always that it's going to happen, but maybe there are some things from other people I can apply to myself as well.
All right, great. And and just in the way that you described that, you're not that answer, it wouldn't be any different than how a cis woman would answer that. So in reality, you're the things that you would change about yourself, I think are probably very, very similar. So which just goes to show that we all basically come from the same human base.
Of course, yeah. I agree to that.
All right, fantastic. Well, that's all the questions I have for you right now. Right. So thank you so much for your time, Cici.
You're welcome.
As I said, you're beautiful, you're a superstar, and it's been a pleasure.
Thank you for inviting me.
Okay, you're welcome.
Bye.